yes, we've got DJ Koze. Knock knock. Who's Koze? Now, DJ Koze, also known as Stefan Kozala, is a Moroccan German, well, DJ as it so happens, who has been in the trenches of the German Hamburg bloody electronic scene since the early 1990s. Even as a 16-year-old, he showed a talent and an ear for mixing. Now, I haven't listened to anything this bloke's ever done before, but it's obvious that he has his musical roots, well, rooted in the 90s scene just from the way he utilizes and modulates vocal samples in particular. Yet don't get it twisted, he still has that quirky, technicolor, contemporary cutting edge which sets this album apart from others in this subgenre, especially of this year. There's definite Daft Punk influence, especially on a song like Moving in a Liquid, which contains these modulated vocoder-esque vocals from Eddie Fumler. And damn, this song just has this looping synth melody that by the end of the song is just drilled into your head, and how the beat develops alongside it with all those textures and layers while he just warbles. It feels like moving in a liquid, boys. I mean, nah, mate, nah. It feels like moving in several liquids, boys. All lean and alcohol, mate. Blech. But yeah, it's not just moving in a liquid which has Daft Punk rinsed through it. The track Colors of Autumn basically borrows a slick guitar progression straight from Liz Yourself to Dance, and the entirety of the hypnotic beat and pickup is reminiscent of their earlier work as well. I mean, that song, funnily enough, also happens to be one of the best on the album for just how you get lost in the repetition. Beautiful. Yet the variability and influences and soundscapes explored on this record simply cannot be described in shorthand with any accuracy, because there's just so much lost in translation as soon as you try. But there is at least a consistent vibe throughout this record, despite all the breaks, bends, and departures of genres from track to track. And that is its warm, rich, summery core, a kind which albums like Since I Left You or Wildflower has twined in their fibers. But honestly, those are the only comparisons I can find, you know, with maybe even a song like Planet Haze here, and those moody synths being unmistakably similar to something like Subways off of the Avalanche's newest. And generally speaking, this whole album mirrors that Plunderphonic's vibrancy, the vocal richness and departure from the more ambient, droning, atmospheric qualities that most artists hold even in micro house. I mean, you could even argue that there are some borrowings of the Beach Boys and other 60s psychedelic pop acts in the song Music on My Teeth, in the guitar licks, and how Jose Gonzalez's melody is written, showcasing again the full spectrum of kaleidoscopic styles explored here in this record. Also, his talent at reworking and formulating vocal samples into demented, modulated cousins of their former selves is one of his many talents. Take Jesus, a song which perplexed me because it took me a while to realize that it's actually full-on influenced by The Knife, in particular those bassy, angular synth leads. But I do love how he can pitch shift and morph the vox into different emotive beasts. It just adds so much necessary emotion in a subgenre filled with lifeless and unoriginal content. Now, despite the seemingly abrupt and interchangeable track listing, this album meanders and flows nonetheless like a tropical river made out of mushroom honey, colored with a motley of different fish, shallows, swirls, and rocks. It really feels difficult to encapsulate and pen with exactitude each instrumental and what makes them all so colorful and magnetic, but that only speaks to the album's strengths, in particular just how abstract and cerebral it remains to be, even if you're more than half a dozen listens in. Take Scratch That, it's just one example. I mean, as soon as that beat comes in on that song, you just know it's going to be hypnotic. It almost feels like shifting sands dancing to subterranean micro earthquakes with a sea swashing over the top of them. And the way he sampled and befitted Roisin Murphy's bloody vocals here makes her sound like a malfunctioning Cortana from Halo than an actual singer, mind you. I mean that actually in a really, really good way. And that brings me to the depth here, because there is so much detail and layering to get lost in, and because each listen unwinds and tumble dries more textures, this album is the definition of a grower and not to be taken at face value on the first listen. And I can see why it's 16 tracks long as well, because if I were him, it would probably be 50, seeing as the sheer talent this Moroccan German has for painting out different scenes and incorporating influences. He's just so talented at finding complementing bloody aspects of instrumentals to fit a bloody guest vocalist vibe and delivery, which is partly why the quality of each song is so consistently good despite the potential for failure. One only has to look at a conventional pop or R&B or rap album, you know, jam-packed with features to see how badly this style can misfire. Just take and divide the difference between Muddy Fonster and How Haunting of a Lullaby to death that sounds like to the next track, Baby, How Much I Love You, which is the sweetest, most saccharine tune ever, a kind which actually does make me miss being in love and mirrors a euphoric MDMA high as best as music can. This variation in mood, feelings, and features I've noticed is one of the main detractors people have with this album, which is a criticism I don't really resonate with because, as I've already described, it still feels cohesive and holistic and summer-drenched all the way through. There are lulls, of course. The first 2 or 3 tracks still don't resonate with me just yet. In fact, I am yet to find a Bon Iver or Bon Iver bloody feature which really does, despite the potential he has with that trademark cadence in his voice. And speaking of the first couple songs, I wish that he would use his skill for morphing the violins and other orchestral elements on more songs here, because I loved how they were used in the abstract opener Club der Ewigkeiten and how it jags and soars at the same time, with the only other use I can find being on Lord Knows. Also, Colors of Autumn just has this unapologetically terrible verse or two injected by speech, which just ruins the song for me. I just don't like his flow. I don't like anything he's saying, and there's just no way DJ Koze can bloody salvage the song by molding the beat around it. And so yeah, just in summary, it's definitely 2 or 3 tracks too long for that reason. With a little reworking to the track list and refining of some motifs, this could have been a superb standalone album. But as it stands, it's still one of the best of the year for me. Very fun, very engaging, very consistent, also mellow, rich and sun-drenched, a lot of fun, very easy to jam wherever you're at. Versatile, bloody love it. I'm gonna give it a 4.1, boys. A 4.1. I think it's deserving of that, yeah. Alright, boys, that's the review. I hope you enjoyed it. All new likes, comments, pistachios, channel grow. Like, honestly, I love all the feedback. And, yeah, just bloody have a good one. Appreciate all new subscribers. Fucking love it. And, again, just have a good one. Wow!